When we evaluate a marriage in the public eye, we have this cultural habit of treating it like a pass or fail exam.
Right.
Like if a couple stays together forever, it's a triumph. If they divorce, well, it's a tragedy. We just look for that clean, easy binary.
Yeah, we want the neat little labels.
Exactly. But sometimes you stumble across a relationship that shatters that diagnostic X-ray completely. I mean, a dynamic so incredibly complex that the traditional labels of success and failure just feel entirely inadequate.
They don't apply at all.
Right. So how does a relationship that started with one of the worst pickup lines in history, endured the emasculating glare of the 1980s tabloids, and ended in a heartbreaking divorce somehow become Hollywood's ultimate blueprint for a perfect family?
It's wild because it completely defies all the conventional logic we apply to celebrity romance. You get this massive, fiery collision of two superstars, the inevitable burnout, and then instead of the bitter aftermath you'd expect, you get its profound, evolving harmony.
As always, I'm Frances Lake.
And I'm Cameron Summer.
And we are thrilled you could join us today. This is Once Upon a Tabloid, the show where we explore iconic celebrity relationships whose legacies lived on long after the spark ended. And this week, we're going deep on Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz.
I am so ready to get into this one.
And just a reminder, as always, our listeners determine who we cover. So if there's an iconic couple you'd like us to explore next, let us know in the comments.
For sure. Because this deep dive, it really forces us to unpack the alchemy of this specific pairing. We're going to explore how their collision helped them both escape the artificial boxes the entertainment industry tried to force them into.
And how their conscious uncoupling completely redefined the modern blended family.
Exactly.
So looking through the memoirs and the 1980s magazine archives we pulled for this deep dive, the thing that immediately jumps out is the sheer hostility of the press towards them.
Oh, it was brutal.
It really was. And the immense suffocating pressure they were both under before they even crossed paths. I mean, to understand them, you have to recognize they were both trapped in these cages built by the 80s entertainment machine.
Yeah, and those cages look very different from the outside. If we look at where each person was in their career and, their public image in the mid-'80s, the contrast is just staggering.
Night and day.
Literally. So Lisa Bonet wasn't just a famous actor. She was like an American institution at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
She was starring as the free-spirited Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show, which was a role she landed at just 16 years old.
We really need to quantify that level of fame for you guys for a second, because in today's fragmented media landscape, it's genuinely hard to grasp.
Good, genuinely.
A staggering 1/3 of the entire TV-watching American public was tuning into her show every single week.
Which is insane numbers.
Right. She was universally beloved. But the psychological weight of that has to be crushing. She wasn't just playing a teenager. She was tasked with representing this idealized, perfectly sanitized American family.
And at 16, you aren't allowed to make mistakes.
No, not at all.
You aren't allowed to explore your identity. You are basically a corporate brand.
It was a gilded cage of unimaginable proportions. And then, navigating a completely different reality, you have Lenny Kravitz.
Who was entirely unknown to the public at this point.
Right. Total obscurity.
Yeah. He was a struggling musician living out of a Ford Pinto, literally sleeping on whatever friend's couch was available. But his cage was built by a rigidly segregated music industry.
Right. The industry didn't know what to do with him.
At all. Executives were constantly turning him away, flat out telling him that his music wasn't black enough or white enough. They didn't know how to market a black artist who wanted to make rock and roll, blending Hendrix-style guitar with soul and funk.
So they demanded he fit into a neat little R&B or synth pop box.
Exactly. And he compromised just to survive. There's this era where he was performing under the stage name Romeo Blue.
Which is just, wow.
Yeah. He was wearing blue contact lenses, chemically straightening his hair, and playing music that didn't actually reflect his soul.
It's like wearing an itchy, ill-fitting Halloween costume because you think it's what people want to see.
That is the perfect analogy. He was suffocating his authentic self just to get a foot in the door.
So, on paper, you have a massive television superstar and an impoverished couch-surfing musician in blue contacts. There is zero logical reason for these two to intersect, let alone form this generational bond. So why were these two so primed to connect?
Well, the underlying aha connection makes sense only when you look past the resumes. Beneath the surface, they were mirror images.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they both shared a very specific, deeply isolating cultural background. Both of them had a black parent in the entertainment industry. Lenny's mom was Roxy Roker from the Jeffersons, and Lisa's dad was an opera singer.
Okay.
And then conversely, both of them had a white Jewish parent.
So they are walking through the world with the exact same biracial, multi-faith heritage during a decade that was like obsessed with putting people into rigid demographic categories.
Precisely. And that shared demographic reality resulted in the exact same childhood trauma. Lisa has spoken very candidly about how she felt like a total outsider in high school. She was ignored by the white kids and called an Oreo by the black kids. She felt adrift in the middle.
That is so tough.
And Lenny felt that exact same displacement. So when they finally met, they shared this profound, unspoken understanding of being in between.
Two people desperately trying to find their authentic selves in a world that demanded they pick a side. But their actual meeting wasn't entirely accidental, was it?
No, Lenny essentially willed it into existence. It's a great story. Lenny actually saw Lisa on the cover of TV Guide magazine, pointed at it, and confidently declared to a friend, "I'm going to marry that girl."
That is some serious manifestation.
Right. He's practically homeless, pointing at one of the most famous, untouchable women in the country, and just declaring his future.
And the universe actually sets it up. It's 1985. They're both backstage at a New Edition concert in LA. They step into a private elevator together.
The famous elevator moment.
Yes. And Lenny Kravitz, the man who would eventually become the global epitome of rock and roll swagger, completely short circuits.
He panics.
He does. He drops a spectacularly awkward pickup line. He just looks at her and says, "I like your hair."
Which is wonderfully humanizing, honestly.
It is. I mean, if someone likes you, any pickup line works. But I have to ask, was it really happily ever after right from the elevator?
That is a phenomenal question, and the timeline actually clarifies that.
Yeah.
It was not instant romance. In fact, Lenny was engaged to a woman named Mitzi at the time.
Wait, really? A fiancé? That definitely complicates the Hollywood meet-cute narrative.
It really does.
Yeah.
After that concert, Lenny and Lisa actually became platonic roommates first.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, he needed a place to stay, and he ended up sleeping on her couch. They built this incredibly deep, foundational friendship, entirely rooted in that shared feeling of being outsiders.
Wow.
It was so intense and so spiritually connected that Mitzi eventually realized Lenny's heart and soul already belonged to Lisa, even if nothing romantic had actually happened yet.
So the engagement ended. When did the platonic roommate situation finally shift into romance?
It happened late one night in a recording studio. Lisa tripped, lost her balance, and accidentally fell into Lenny's arms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Lenny described it as the exact moment the actual romantic spark ignited. Everything shifted in an instant.
And once it shifted, they didn't waste any time. They eloped in Las Vegas on Lisa's 20th birthday, November 16th, 1987.
And they went for it.
They did. But stepping out of that private, safe bubble of their friendship and into the public eye as a married couple introduced a historic power imbalance.
The dynamics were incredibly skewed. Lisa was a massive star, and Lenny was still a nobody. And the tabloids were utterly merciless. They dubbed him Mr. Bonet.
Which is just such a calculated insult. I mean, being called Mr. Bonet is like being the permanent +1 in your own life. The 80s press clearly used it to emasculate him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you look at the media framing, it feels like the tabloids weren't just mocking him. They were actually trying to punish Lisa for growing up.
Yes, exactly, because Lisa was actively trying to break out of that sanitized Hosby mold.
Right. She did that grungy, topless cover shoot for Interview magazine.
And she took on a really mature, controversial role in the film Angel Heart. The American public felt a strange sense of ownership over her, and the media retaliated against her rebellion by terrorizing her marriage.
And when she got pregnant, the paparazzi pressure cooker reached terrifying levels. We're talking about photographers literally scaling their property and falling off roofs just to get a picture of them.
That is insane. The psychological toll of that has to be unbearable. How does a young marriage survive that kind of relentless onslaught?
By creating an impenetrable fortress. Inside their private bubble, Lenny didn't care about the labels. He didn't care that the world called him Mr. Bonet.
Because he finally had a safe haven.
Hey, Francis.
Yeah, Cam.
So Demi and I were at dinner with two other couples the other day, and this debate came up around household chores.
Oh, man, don't even get me started.
You know, it's funny. There was a very clear pattern that emerged.
Let me guess. The women do more and have to carry the mental burden of keeping track of everything that needs to get done. And I bet they're tired of feeling like they have to nag and remind their partner to do things around the house.
Wow. Yep, that's pretty much it. But it's funny. Our friends Lauren and Patrick mentioned this app they started using that's basically like household chores meets fantasy football.
Wow, not a combination I've heard before.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. You and your partner alternate picking which tasks you own, like a draft, and you kind of like negotiate how often things need to get done and how much effort they take.
Okay.
And then you get reminders and points for doing them. Oh, and you can propose trades. It honestly seemed pretty fun.
Honestly, I wanted to hate this idea, but the truth is, everyone always feels like they're doing more than the other person. And this seems like it could actually help fix that.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun, lighthearted way to make sure things get done and that they're fair.
Huh. You've piqued my curiosity. Send me the link. I'll definitely try it out.
All right, it's called House League. Check it out. Exactly. The marriage provided him a sanctuary to stop worrying about industry expectations and finally focus on his true artistic voice.
And she didn't just passively inspire that voice, she actively catalyzed his breakout. The sources detail how she was the one who encouraged him to finally drop that suffocating Romeo Blue persona.
Yes, and he used his real name.
Right. And there's an amazing story about how his signature aesthetic was born purely by accident.
Oh, the origin of the dreadlocks.
Yes!
So when Lenny moved in with Lisa, he apparently forgot his comb. And over a period of months, his hair just started naturally matting together.
As does.
Right. He was entirely prepared to cut it all off, but Lisa stopped him. She just told him, keep it. It looks good.
And just like that, the iconic Lenny Kravitz look is born. But, it's wild to point out to you guys that she didn't just support his career. She physically and creatively helped build the Lenny Kravitz persona we know today.
She really did.
I mean, she named his hair, she convinced him to use his real name, and she co-wrote the tracks Fear and Rosemary on his 1989 debut album, Let Love Rule.
And she even directed the music video for the title track in Central Park.
Yeah, so she was heavily involved.
And that is the beautiful paradox of their marriage. Lisa's fame cast a massive shadow, but inside that shadow, Lenny found the freedom to become a rock god.
But the tragedy of that kind of sanctuary is that once the success explodes, the sanctuary itself is threatened. They separated in 1991 and divorced in 1993. What specifically led to the fracture?
Well, it was a combination of his explosive success and their extreme youth that tore the sanctuary apart. The relentless demands of international touring and the constant media attention took a massive toll.
We also have to address the rumors, because the media immediately tried to invent a villain for the breakup. The tabloids ran wild with rumors of an affair with Madonna.
Right, especially after Lenny produced the song Justify My Love for Madonna in 1990.
Yeah. But we want to emphasize clearly to you listening that Lenny has repeatedly and firmly denied any infidelity whatsoever.
Yes, the historical record is very clear on his stance there. He has consistently attributed the split to a multitude of heavy factors.
Like what, specifically?
Deep emotional struggles, devastating deaths in his family during that specific period, and the simple fact that they just married too young. They hadn't fully formed as independent adults.
Whatever the exact combination of reasons, the devastation was absolute. Lenny described himself during that era as a zombie.
The grief was profound.
He was sleeping only 2 hours a day, from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
And this shattering agony birthed his 1991 album, Mama Said. He poured that heartbreak directly into the music.
Yeah, specifically that desperate, pleading hit, It Ain't Over Till It's Over.
Exactly. He wrote that track hoping to win her back.
Which is such a raw thing to put out there. So when a relationship crashes that hard and the heartbreak is literally platinum-selling public knowledge, how on earth do they transition into being best friends?
It's amazing.
Hey, Cam, do you and Demi ever get into a fight where it just seems like you're talking past each other?
Oh, absolutely. You and Michael?
Not anymore, actually. We started using Good Talk, and it has been incredible. Basically, when we're in a tiff, each of us individually chats with Good Talk, but it has the context of both of our conversations.
Oh, wow. I see. So it kind of guides each of you
toward a more productive conversation when we do talk to each other. Exactly.
Very cool. Love that.
Anyway, to any of our listeners who find themselves in similar situations with their partners, definitely check it out. It's at www.goodtalk.club.
They both realized that while the romantic chapter was over, their roles as parents to their young daughter, Zoe, were permanent.
They had to rebuild.
They did, individually, but they made a conscious decision to co-parent without the typical Hollywood warfare.
And the way they rebuilt those lives is a study in extreme contrasts. Lisa sought the ultimate form of privacy. In 1993, she legally changed her name to Lila Coy Moon.
Though she kept Lisa Bonet professionally, yeah.
Right, and she moved to a strict quiet, hippie-ish enclave in Topanga Canyon. She raised Zoe with a vegan diet, no TV, and no internet.
She essentially went off the grid, which is the exact polar opposite of Lenny's trajectory.
Seriously.
Lenny ran directly toward the noise. He was living this massive rock star life, touring the world, living in penthouses in Miami and New York.
The culture shock for Zoe must have been intense because she lived in that quiet, tech-free environment until she was 11, and then she moved in with Lenny.
That is a massive, jarring pivot.
Right, but despite these diametrically opposed parenting styles, they managed to raise Zoe seamlessly. No lawyers, no drama, no ego.
Which brings us to the evolution of their bond and the legacy of this modern blended family. Because the ultimate stress test of that dynamic was Jason Momoa.
Oh, definitely. Lisa embarked on a 17-year relationship with the Aquaman star. They married in 2017 and eventually separated in 2022.
And if you look at traditional expectations, you'd assume the ex-husband, rock star, and the new husband, actor, would have some territorial weirdness.
Oh, for sure. But it was the exact opposite. Lenny and Jason developed this mind-bogglingly healthy bromance. They referred to each other as brothers and even wore matching skull rings.
He's just a total mastery of ego.
Yeah.
And to understand why this relationship still resonates in pop culture, we have to look at Lenny's philosophy.
What did he say?
He summarized it by saying, "The love doesn't leave you, but it has to find a new way to funnel itself into a new life."
Wow.
The love they found in that recording studio didn't die. It just transformed into an enduring friendship. He even committed to celibacy for 9 years later in life to master his own discipline, showing his dedication to personal growth rooted in the lessons of his past.
That is incredible. So society often views divorce as a failure. We look at the split and call it a tragedy. But looking at Lenny and Lisa, what if a successful relationship isn't necessarily one that lasts forever in a traditional marriage?
That's a great point.
What if the ultimate relationship success is simply having the grace to let it evolve into exactly what it needs to be next? Something for you to ponder.
Absolutely.
If there's an iconic couple you want us to go deep on next time, leave it in the comments.